before we get started with this podcast, I wanted to remind everyone of the free gifts that we still have available to offer for everyone, which is free downloadable targets that you can print out, and actually utilize at the range. So you don't have to worry about those costs or those fees just when it comes to any kind of targets when you go to the range. Also, if you're a new shooter looking at getting into firearms and looking for a spot to actually start or where to begin, go ahead, take advantage of our free basic marksmanship pistol class. That's available as well for you to go ahead, download, and take some classes and just get you squared away. Those are our gifts from us to you. Take advantage of it, and I hope to see you soon. Let's go ahead and get it started. Welcome to Digital Defenders Podcast, which is brought to you by Virtual Firearms Association. I'm your host, Chris, and today we have a special guest in store. His name is Frank McGaha, who is also the co-owner of Virtual Firearms Association. Go ahead and talk to him, Frank.
Hey, man, I appreciate you guys having me on, and especially for the training we got to do earlier. Thanks for letting me co-host that a little bit and run as a guest instructor. But yeah, a little bit about me. I enlisted in the military at 18, pretty much left at 19, did 6 years in the Navy as a helicopter crew chief doing multi-missions, gun operations, anti-mine warfare, naval special warfare, things like that. After that, I knew I wanted to get into law enforcement. So I came out of the military. I'm an avid outdoors individual. So I went straight for the National Park Service. I became the backcountry ranger for the Smoky Mountain National Park. That's how I started my law enforcement career. And it was my dream job. Absolute dream job. I loved it. I was out hiking, camping all the time, as well as protecting our natural resources. Ultimately, I wanted to round out my law enforcement, so I lateraled up to DC with another three-letter agency up there, is where I ran into you, Chris. And then since then, we've pretty much been inseparable. The big thing with that is I got out of the DC area. I thought it was better for the family, left the DC area, but stayed in law enforcement, winded up opening my own law enforcement training firm. And while I was doing that, I realized I had two things going on. I actually had to split the company where I was doing law enforcement training, but I was doing firearms training as well. Both had potential, but one was kind of taking more of my time. So ultimately, I winded up splitting the organization, kept my law enforcement training organization, and then partnered up with you to start Virtual Firearms Association.
Absolutely. One of the best things that ever happened to you, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I mean it's been great, just going through, learning, growing. You're the minute you're done learning is the minute I say you should probably, hang up your firearm or whatever job you're doing. But yeah, no, running this and well, I shouldn't say running it. You're the one running it. I'm almost just here for moral support at this time. But yeah, doing VFA has taken, not only my firearm training to the next level, but opened up new avenues of firearms training, which is how we got into this. So no, yeah, I'm facetious and laughing with you when I say it's the best thing that's happened, but it really is. It's definitely taken my shooting to the next level, as well as opened up new avenues for reaching other firearm enthusiasts or firearm operators, owners, whatever have you.
So, question for you. Virtual Firearms Association, what made you actually choose to go into that direction?
Yeah, so in my agency up in DC, they had this thing called Virtua. It was a 300-degree simulator, and it's $250,000 training machine, and it was phenomenal. You took actual firearms, you converted them to CO2 registered with laser cartridges, and I became an instructor for that, and then I started developing training criteria for them. I did training for U.S. Capitol SWAT team, all the way from U.S. Capitol SWAT to regular patrol officers, all the way to SEC special agents. Right, came in to there, and I was developing their training. I was leveraging the system, doing everything from legal to use of force to just to firearms training. They had that system has a range that you can pump out to 500 yards, right? I loved it. It was absolutely amazing. I spent a lot of my time in there training if I wasn't out on patrol or doing some other live fire training or anything like that. And I thought, man, how do you get a system like this in the hands of everyday people? Because if you could just train in your own home, they would do it. Now, that being said, I've learned that a lot of people need that push, right? Need some type of motivation to train. But to stick with your current question, yeah, that's virtual was what got me into it. I became an instructor for them, a and then curriculum development through them, and or through that platform, I should say, for the agency, not for Virtua themselves, but for the agency that I had worked for. And it it just rung home with me. So when I found other systems out there for in-home use, specifically Mantis, who VFA, kind of affiliated with, I I just hands down was, hey, we can bring firearms training into everyone's home using their own firearm without all the barriers, which we could get into later, but without all the barriers that are out there for going to the range or for everyday shooters.
Gotcha. So you mentioned training. You also mentioned Mantis as well. What would actually be different as far as just using a Mantis system versus what you hear just most firearm instructors talk about dry fire?
Yeah, I mean, so look at it this way as a bridge, right? So dry fire training's great, and I love it, and you should do it. And if you don't have the Mantis system, great, or any other system out there. There's a bunch, but like I said, Mantis is the one we decided to affiliate with because I like their system a lot. But if you if you just dry fire train, you're getting those trigger presses in, you're establishing those grips, you're getting a good sight picture, hopefully, you're getting good stance, you're practicing everything. Maybe you're even doing some movement drills and things like that, but you're getting zero feedback. Absolutely nothing, right? You don't know if your shot placement was good. You don't know if that offline movement from the holster draw, if you were on target, right? Maybe you can do it. Maybe you can come out of the holster and have that trigger press done in under a second, but did you hit your target? And ultimately, at the end of the day, if you're pulling the trigger on a firearm, that's your goal, is to hit your target. We just got done wrapping up, which, like I said, I was mentioning earlier. Thank you for letting me guest instruct it. But we just got done wrapping up our first weekly training in the Virtual Firearms Association online membership or online community. And we started with marksmanship. That's where I wanted to start. I didn't want to get into all this tactical training and because what's the point if you can't hit the broadside of a barn, right? So the Mantis system, it just gives you that feedback. It allows you to build that bridge between dry fire training and then live fire training. So that bridge right there in the middle is Mantis or any type of virtual training, whatever system you want to use. I don't care. It's ironic. Before I found Mantis, one thing that I would do, and I would record myself doing this, and I didn't even realize I was kind of building a similar Mantis system, is I would take a laser bore sight, screw it into the end of my gun, hold it down on a target, on, say, our downloadable and printable targets. I've done this on some videos for you guys, and hold it down on the target and do trigger presses to see how it moves. And then I said, okay, well, how can I? Okay, so I can't recall if where that last shot hit. I saw it, it looked good, but I can't recall. Well, let me set up my phone for recording. So then
Mhm.
I'd record it and I'd have, like I said, a laser bore sight in the end, a printed out target on the wall, and then my phone recording it and shoot and say, oh, that was good. Oh, I jerked a little bit there, and I could slow it down and play it back. And that was one caveat that I really liked in recording, especially with today's technology. And that's just kind of where we're at. And I wasn't the biggest technological fan, coming up, at all. So having that access, realizing I did that, and then finding the Mantis system that does all that, and it's built into an app, into a program for any mobile system. I mean, hands down, it's if 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 you want to go from dry fire training to live fire training and have a good bridge in there, virtual training is the way to do it.
Absolutely. Especially if we happen to go through difficult times again, like with the whole COVID thing that actually took place, where a lot of these places were closed down, they weren't open, there wasn't no way that you can actually go to a range unless you had like a private range in your backyard or something like that. But I think that is definitely something that's beneficial just when it comes to just training in general. But I got another question for you, Frank. So the question that I have is a lot of people have all kinds of excuses why we can do this or do that. Like, and what I mean by is I don't have time for training. I don't have time to go to the range, whether it's ammunition or the cost or things of that nature that I call them just excuses, just overall in general, on why they can't do something. How is something like Mantis, uh, uh, which is something that you can use at home, how is that something that's beneficial that you can just pretty much eliminate all those excuses that people could possibly have when it comes to just training?
Yeah, I'm going to say it again. It's the bridge, right? It's the absolute bridge for training. All those excuses are gone. So here's where I think Mantis falls short. And let's just come out of the gate with, and you and I have talked about this plenty of times, right? So where Mantis falls short is with recoil, right? You're not getting recoil. You know, if you're shooting a semi-automatic, let me back up. I'm talking pistols only here. I'm talking pistols only. We're not even getting into the Blackbeard system. That's phenomenal. But let's just talk pistols here. They're Mantis Laser Academy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with and we're not, I mean, they have their X2, their X, oh man, there's a whole bunch of things to go down on this one. But anyway, we're just talking about the Mantis Laser Academy, right? Actual getting live fire, or not, excuse me, virtual training, dry fire virtual training with feedback. So let's break this down. We polled what 20,000 firearms owners, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess this was about 2 years ago we did that, right? So
Yes.
20,000, we polled them and we asked them what were the main reasons they don't train as more, or the reason that they don't get out to training. It was almost overwhelmingly the top three things is ammo costs too much. It's too much work to go to the range, and it's too expensive to go to the range and then sit in the range, and then they're limited what they can do in the range. And then the last one was they couldn't find, a reputable instructor that they could afford. So with all three of those underlying components, one thing was finances, right? Finances played a factor. But then the other aspects were getting access to a range, getting access to ammo, getting access to an instructor. Well, with VFA, we decided to alleviate that by leveraging the Mantis system. I've explained this before, and I'll kind of hit on it now. The initial concept that was running through my head, and then when I threw it to you, and you've taken it to a whole nother level, right? The initial concept that ran through my head was during COVID, you saw all these fitness people flocking to online training, online fitness. The Peloton bike was the example that I used. Individuals bought a Peloton bike, and then you had all these remote instructors out there that had programs that where you could do live training with them, and they could motivate you, and you'd have a community in there, and they would motivate you. So people still had that community involvement, even though they weren't there, but they could do all that training in their own homes. And then it took off, and then it became a whole thing, home workouts, home training.
Mm-hmm.
That concept stuck so well with me with firearms training with new technology. And I said, why don't we do it that way? And we cut out those top three issues why people don't train. Your ammo, can't get ammo, don't want to waste your ammo. um, Too much to go to the range, too far to go to the range, right? No time to go to the range. And then finding a reputable instructor, right?
Mm-hmm.
VFA, that was the whole purpose of it, is to alleviate those three things. And then, as we build it out, and as you've taken it to the level it's going now, it's I mean, the community is just growing to a rate that I didn't foresee. I mean, it just in the first year that you winded up jumping in there, I mean, the growth that you pulled through was well beyond what I thought it was imaginable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you mentioned the just overall just training in general, just when it comes to using the Mantis system. We have a lot of people out here, especially just with laws changing and things like that. And as far as them getting their concealed carry permits and things like that, do you remember what the stats were as far as the accuracy on people in general being able to actually hit their target? Like the distance range, wasn't it like 3 yards? I want to say it was 3 yards
correct me if I'm wrong, Frank.
In what
Remember,
aspect? Yeah, refresh me here. What aspect?
what I'm asking is that the approximate distance that somebody can actually hit a target accurately.
Oh, 7 yards.
7 yards. That's
7
what it
yards.
is. 7 yards.
7 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Uh, anything past that point, and people are, I think it goes below 50%. So at 7 yards, they can hit the target. I'm not even saying smoke a bullseye or hit a double X here. I'm just saying they can hit the target. Um, after 7 yards, I think it goes below 50%.
Exactly.
So yeah, and all that just comes down to is just training, right?
Exactly.
I'm gonna date
That's
myself.
but you know what? Let me stop you real quick. This is the reason why I brought up that question, and one of the features that I love about the Mantis is you can add distance on your targets and everything. You can set it to 10 yards, set it to 3 yards if you're actually doing just straight from the holster, then elbow shooting, or if you want to actually add a little bit of distance. You can, how far actually can you actually pull the target to?
That's the funny part because I reached out to Mantis about that question and I know they gave me an answer and I can't remember what they said, but that was one of the videos that I wanted to shoot. Was I wanted to take the Blackbeard system and put it in the AR and
Hmm.
go outside, bright sunny day where the laser might not register that well and see, hey, how far can I go 20? Can I go 30? Can I go 40? Can I
Exactly.
go 50 yards with it? Now I can dial that in with the system itself, right?
Hmm.
Done that where we can say, hey, simulate that we're 40 or 50 yards away. Great. But I want to see in a real world aspect, how far can I stretch that laser? Now, understand there's a lot that goes into that, bullet rise, bullet tumble, external ballistics, right?
Hmm.
You got your internal ballistics, what happens inside the firearm. You got your external ballistics, what happens outside the firearm. Then you got your terminal ballistics, what happens when it impacts the target. But your external ballistics, that plays a factor. While a laser, there's no external ballistics outside of maybe, dust particles in the air or the sun being too bright and not being able to read the system or the laser. So I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm just saying it's the bridge.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's perfect. I mean, that's
Except for
understandable.
you, Chris. You're the only
And I
thing
hope,
perfect. Yeah.
and I hope people aren't going into the things or with expectations that everything is going to be perfect. But if you're somebody who's looking to get any type of training, or you want to get practice or get just more proficient with your firearm in general, do you know how many people I know that bought guns and never even shot it before? Because they feel, I don't know, maybe intimidated going to the range. There's going to be other people. I'm going to do it next week. And they keep pushing it off and off and off until they end up just not going at all. So,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a huge point. I didn't think about it too much until we got to working on it. But the community aspect of VFA in itself is now the most important thing that I think we're focusing on is building that community for people to come and feel comfortable.
mm,
The the founder of USCCA, right? I think it was the founder. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on this. I believe it was the founder of
oh,
USCCA. He said he started USCCA because he went into a gun shop, to knew nothing about firearms, went into a gun shop, and it was just a horrible experience. It's, oh, you don't know this, oh, you don't know. It's just so much ego when it comes to fire. So much ego. I mean, it is ridiculous. And there's so many avenues to go down here, and there's so many things you just mentioned that I want to key on. But when it comes to that, I think having that community, right, of individuals that are supportive and being in there and not only just virtually link up with them, that's true, but then in real life, go link up and go do live fire. By no means are we saying don't live fire. I say take at a minimum the approach that law enforcement has and do a biannual qual twice a year minimum. Go there, do some live fire training. Buy buy 100 rounds, right? Spend $40 or it's more than that, but
yeah,
spend
it's only going
50
to
or
go
60.
up. So,
Yeah, spend $50 or $60 depending on what platform you're shooting, right? What
yeah,
caliber. So spend $50 or $60. Take take 60 rounds of that, shoot 2 30-round quals, right? At different variables. Nothing crazy, but just shoot those just to see where you are, put some time stress on to see where, but then take that other 40 rounds before you go shoot that qual and just practice. Just get out there and shoot some live fire and see, hey, I forgot, my Ruger tends to shoot high if I'm holding a perfect sight picture, right? Maybe I gotta, maybe I have to lollipop it rather than cut it center mass, but my Glock shoots perfect at a lollipop, right? So you only get to know that by actually getting out and doing live fire. So by no means are we saying don't live fire. I'm just saying all the training in the world, not everyone can afford all the training in the world. I guess that's where I'm going to go with it. I'm going to tell this story, and hopefully it's a good analogy. And if it's not, it is what it is.
Okay.
When I was in high school, I was a second string quarterback for our football team, and my biggest issue was taking snaps. I could not, for some reason, snaps would hit. I wasn't quick enough, couldn't grab it, and the ball would fumble, right? And this is, I'm 14 at the time or something like that. Well, my coach had a snap machine, right? So he said, hey, Frank, come in early, go do snaps, go do 100 snaps on the snap machine. And what I found out with the snap machine, or what I used using the snap machine, is it forced me to kind of reach in and take the ball, reach in, take the ball, reach in, take the ball. And then that translated over to actual live snaps. And I never dropped a live snap ever again. So that's always wrong with me, is I didn't practice with a live person, right? I was practicing with a machine, with technology. But then that made me all that much better for the actual, practice and game day, right? And I winded up never dropping a snap after that. And I think for a week straight, I would take 100 snaps before the start of practice, right? Just for a week straight. And then I never, just a week, that's it, a week of your life. So I don't know. I take that concept and I apply it to this. Take these golf simulators. Now you got all these professionals out there using golf simulators to practice, rather than I'm going to drive all the way to the driving range or to go to the course and do. Firearms is right there,
Exactly.
and the technology is out. It's just, where do you go to put it all together? And that's what we're trying to do here with VFA.
You're right. It's muscle memory. It's things that which is another thing that I think is important, is don't even start off with any kind of bad habits, because they just become worse the more and more you actually are using a firearm. So just starting off with just some of the basic things, just as far as any of the new people who purchase firearms, or who's actually looking to get into just shooting guns in general. Just the 4 cardinal safety rules. I believe we were talking about that a little bit. The T and KK, right?
Yeah, I got
Right.
you.
All right. You remember?
I got it. I don't know if I'm going to use your mnemonic, but I think
I'm pretty sure we might have went to the same firearm school, but okay.
Different instructors, though. Different
Right.
instructors.
Same instructor school. But for those of y'all, the T and KK, which is what I like, it helps me just remember just some of the basics, just some of the basic rules, just when it comes to operating a firearm. So the T, treat all firearms as if they are loaded, which I think me and you both can agree that that's probably the most important one.
Oh yeah, I mean,
see a gun laying somewhere or whatever, right? Hey, that gun is loaded. I don't need to try to point it, to shoot it, to try to see if there's a round in the chamber or not. No, that gun is loaded. Just for your own protection and your own safety, treat all firearms as if they are loaded. Then it's the N. Never point a gun at anything you're not willing to shoot or destroy. So no playing around with the firearm. You take the gun, hey, point it at your friend as a joke, or a little prop for a camera or selfie or something like that. No, never point a gun at anyone that you're not willing to shoot or destroy. So if it's not a threat, keep it away from that person. Then it's the K, which is know your target and what's beyond, because at the same exact time, when you are shooting that target, some of these rounds, especially if you're living in an apartment, those rounds can actually travel through drywall and actually keep going. And just know that anytime that you are firing any kind of rounds, you're responsible for each one of those rounds that are actually going off. Those of y'all who, like I said, looking to get into firearms or concealed carrying, things like that. And the last one is also a K, which is keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. This is a common mistake that I'm pretty sure you've seen it as well, but I've seen that just when it comes to just training, and especially with new shooters, they coming just straight out of the holster, their fingers already on the trigger. That can just lead to any kind of mishaps of you end up blading yourself or you lasering yourself, in which that round could possibly go not where it's actually intended. So keep your finger off that trigger until you are actually aimed in. Have your sights on target and you're actually ready to shoot. Then go ahead and put your finger on that trigger and deliver that round down range. So
No, I think there's, yeah, I guess I use analogies to kind of explain my situations a lot, or I should say memories, but two things come to mind with everything we're discussing. First of all, for this one, if it's a Swiss cheese model, right? All the holes need to line up in order for you to have some type of mishap or negligent discharge. One thing I recall in the military, right? I was over a buddy's house. He had I think one of his firearms just kind of in the closet, but we were all hanging out at his house. Another buddy of mine picked it up, did not follow any of the safety rules, right? Did not treat it as if it was loaded right off the bat. So picked it up. The mag was in it. This is an AR platform rifle. Mag was in it. Flipped the safety off, and then was lasering everybody in the room, and was a hair from finger on the trigger when my buddy came in, stopped him, said, "That gun's loaded," and it had a round chambered. So, and he's pointing at it. So that was a mishap and a potential catastrophic one that was prevented right there. But didn't follow any of the one of those safety rules. Any one of them could have prevented it from getting to that point. And then the other thing is to kind of back up what we were talking about before when it comes to training and someone being a new, a new or new to firearms. Well, it doesn't have to be new to firearms. You could be new to a platform, right? And when I say a platform, I mean new to pistols, new to rifles, new to bullpups, new to bolt actions, new to revolvers, anything. I think of another time when I was going through my second law enforcement academy, and I'm going through with a colleague of mine at the time, and he's a former Marine. Right now, I was Navy, but I trained a lot with Marines and whatnot, and did a lot of joint work with them. They were all very proficient with firearms, right? Come to find out, this colleague of mine almost failed the academy due to the fact that he couldn't pass his pistol qual, had to go into pistol remediation.
Hmm.
And I look at him, I said, "You're a Marine, man." He's like, "I've never carried a pistol a day in my life." Ever. So we have these preconceived notions of what it is, oh, this person's a Marine, so they have to be competent at that. No, I mean, he was open. He's like, "I've never touched a pistol a day in my life. Give me a rifle, I'll shoot your 300-yard qual all day long." It's like, give me a pistol, I have no idea what I'm doing with this thing, right? And so you take that concept and you apply it back here to training, to VFA, even to this podcast, right? This podcast, the whole purpose of it is sharing information so that people can use it and go out and train with it. But if you take VFA and you take what we're trying to do here and the impact we're trying to have, it's trying to be a welcoming community where people can come out and get their training. Like this new live training once a week, and we're trying to build it up to where we have different instructors 5 days a week running different training. If we get to that point, I'll be ecstatic. We're looking at, what is it? Women Wednesdays, where it would just be women training. We have some female instructors that we're looking at bringing on and things like that. So at any point in time, just building this community for everyone that's out there that wants to kind of come in and something that won't break the bank, right? Where they're saving all this money on ammunition. They're saving all this money on instructors. They're getting access to all these, world-renowned instructors and great instructors just based off of their membership.
Exactly.
And that's it. So I don't know if I don't know if we have it perfect, which is why we listen to our members and try to always improve. We're reshooting the online training course that comes with it, that goes over the basics of basic firearms handling, practical firearm handling, and tactical firearm handling. So that's in conjunction with the community. But outside of that, everything that we're building is based off of what our members and what people tell us they want in their training.
Exactly. That's important. Another thing that I think that is important just when it comes to just instructors in general, guys, if we can just come together and realize that there's more than one way of doing things, okay? There is more than one way of doing things, and not bash each other and try to say, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about because he's doing it this way and he's doing it that way and so forth. And I'm completely paraphrasing from just some of the comments that we have heard versus I've seen on other people's platforms and pages or whatever. The point that I'm trying to make is that, look, one thing that we all share in common is that, hey, we love firearms. We love training. We love shooting guns. Let's just call it what it is. We love shooting guns. And if we can all just come together and share our experiences, shoot, I'll even invite you on the platform. Come on the Digital Fenders podcast and let's talk about it. If you feel that you have the most awesome way possible of doing things or whatever, please share with me, share with us. Hey, I might actually use it. So that's one of the things I just definitely wanted to put out there, man. Just
Yeah, no, I'm with you. That's probably my biggest pet peeve. You know that. I mean, we've discussed
we
this
talked
before.
about it. We talked
Yeah,
about it.
and I've mentioned the egos. The egos are astounding.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know what a bullpup is, or you don't know what a bolt action is, or let's get into even more like a LVPO, right? Low or LPVO, low powered variable optic, right? And you don't understand what all this stuff is, and then you got these individuals that are kind of belittling you for it or something. Like that's not what we're trying to build. And honestly, I want nothing to do with those people outside of the fact of hopefully they'll come around and understand, what it is. That's my pet peeve.
I
That is
know
my
it
pet
is.
peeve. Everyone thinks that their way is the best way and whatnot. And if I'm going to be candid about it. I don't really care at this point in time. So if you come on or you try to belittle anyone and try to hang your certificate, I've seen instructors tell other instructors that, hey, you need to go get four different instructor trainings a year, right? Four different instructor training. Yeah, because they're instructors and they want you to buy their instructor or their course, right? For instructors, because we charge astronomical fees for it. And I'm not saying you can't learn anything from them. You're probably going to learn anything because there's some phenomenal instructors out there in the world. Absolutely phenomenal. And if you're not, even if you learn something like, hey, I don't like that, you still learn something. So I'm
Exactly.
not saying that. Go out, get some training, but then to belittle someone to say that they have to, I think everyone should go get training, right? We designed a training membership. I believe everyone should go get training. But when you come out and say, oh, if you don't do this, then you're not taking your firearm seriously. I mean, how many people do you know that are not super gung-ho firearm enthusiasts that can afford 300 rounds of their pistol, let's say 9 mil, right? And 500 rounds of their 5.56 and take 4 days off to go do take Monday and Friday off to go drive 2 states away to go take a class. I mean, shoot, you're talking what, $300 in ammo plus a $500 class, right? Plus lodging if you're out of state.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking $1,000 for a weekend to go get training, and that's great. And it's probably going to be good training at the same point in time. But then you're telling someone to do that four times a year, $4,000 or $4 to $5,000 a year in training. I don't know too many people that have a disposable $5,000, to go do firearms training. And then not only that, then they got to replace their ammo that they just shot. right?
Exactly.
So you get into this and you get into these individuals being, it's a nice term that I can use here. You get into these individuals just being egotistical,
Mhm.
right? I'll go and I'll see these and they'll belittle other new instructors coming in and they'll say, oh, you got to go do this or you got to go, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. The And yet I'll look at these instructors, right? And if you line them up for just accuracy, shooting, I mean, I don't want to say subpar, but some of them are great. Some of them are one of the best shooters in the world,
Mhm.
right? Others are just, they're okay. I'm an okay shooter. I don't think I'm the best in the world. There's a lot for me to learn, right? But they're just okay,
Okay,
right?
Frank.
No, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
like
okay, Frank.
I score well enough, but I get beat,
You
right?
you shoot phenomenal, man. But
No, I shoot
I'll let you
okay.
be modest, though. I'll
There,
let you
there's
be
there's
modest, though.
always there's you're killing me. There's always more you can do, right? So, but then I look at them and they think that training ends at the trigger, and it doesn't. Some of these individuals are like I said, I'm just gonna be candid about. Some of them are grossly overweight, right? These instructors. Some of them, if you said, "Hey, great, hit that bullseye from 50 yards away with your pistol," but hey, first go do a 100-yard sprint with full gear on, and then come up here and hit that pistol while trying to catch your breath. Oh, and by the way, do it in under 60 seconds. So sprint 100 yards, right? Come over here, then perform a 25-yard shot with your pistol, and you have to hit the X. You have to. Where's that go? Where do you go from that? I mean, trust me, I just had another baby, so my fitness has taken a hit right now. I don't get to make it to the gym every day anymore. But at the same point in time, that training doesn't stop just at the trigger, right? You need to be well rounded. I love this saying. Man, I cannot forget who's credited for it, but that everyone knows that saying. A jack of all trades is a master of none.
Yeah.
Well, it just came to me the other day. I should say the other day, this while back, but that's not the full saying. And it says, hey, a jack of all trades is a master of none, but still better than any master of one.
Mhm.
Right. So I love that. Right. You have that. You're all that's talking about, and to sum it up, is just being well rounded. Right.
Mhm.
Having good health. Right. Eating healthy, or working out, whatever you have to do there. Training with your firearm. You know, well, okay, that's training with. Well, what about everything in between that? Well, what about situational awareness training? Right. You're big on that. You train a lot of people in that. You train a lot of people in your organization now on that, and make sure, hey, don't put yourself in a situation if you don't have to. Firearms the last thing you want to draw or use in a self-defense situation. Sometimes it might be the last thing, but it has to be the first thing. Sometimes you have that conflict. But yeah, no, I mean, when you get to instructors bashing one another and then try to say, oh, we need to come together and and upkeep the Second Amendment, yet you're publicly over here trashing each other because maybe you want these clients, or you want these
Exactly.
individuals to jump on, or you want to build your name up. I got no time for you. I got absolutely nothing. You don't even make my radar.
Exactly. Oh,
So
yeah. As y'all can see, he's real passionate about that, which is why I made a
it,
point to go
it
ahead
is,
and
when it comes to firearms training, it's
that's
my biggest bet. And you knew that. That's why you went down that road.
why I said that. That's exactly why I went down that path. But on a serious note, guys, just remember, especially instructors that are out there who could potentially fall in this category as far as what Frank is talking about. You were a beginner at one point also. Okay. So the reason why I'm saying that is that I want to bring up another point on a serious note, especially just when it comes to Virtual Firearms Association, the company as a whole. I'm sure you can agree with me as well, Frank. Um, it's a great starting point. It's a great starting point to get your, well, what's the saying? Get your feet wet, to get acclimated just with the firearm, especially as far as just getting the basics safety steps or the four cardinal safety rules out of the way. Muscle memory. All right, great. I know how to safe handle the firearm. Because one of the things that I try to preach just to anybody who I'm training with, whether it's the agency or something personal, or we're looking to actually get some training with firearms, is your accuracy is the last thing that I'm worried about immediately, just when it comes to firearms, especially if you're new to firearms, just overall in general. It's, can you operate a gun as safely as possible? All right. I want you to make sure that when you're using that firearm, you're safe for yourself, and most importantly, the next man that's to the left or to the right of you. I don't even know the camera was left, whatever. Anyways, I want to make sure that they are safe as well, and just get those jitters out of it. I remember just the first time in general that me personally that I shot a firearm. My hands were so like sweaty. I swear I could probably squeeze my fist and a drip will probably come down at the bottom of it before I shot my first round. But once I actually fired my first round, which I don't know how many years ago that actually was, but and I'm not going to tell on myself as far as my age. So at the same exact time, once I got that out of the way, and especially just actually just going to the range, I even felt a little bit of anxiety just going to the range, a little nervousness because people come in there where they look like they have high speed backpacks, tactical bags, guns that you just look like Call of Duty or something crazy like that. And it's just like I had my little Glock or whatever going to the range. It was a little intimidating at first. It definitely was at first, but once I felt confident and secure just within myself, just as far as being able to use a firearm, of course, I fell in love with it. And I mean, look at where we're at today. This is just something that we easily breathe, firearms and training just overall in general. But hopefully what our goal is try to alleviate some of those anxiety or nervousness or things like that, just as far as coming in our community, because you can reach out to any one of us at any given time through the community section, and maybe even be other people that'll reach out and answer some of your questions that you may have. So that's one of the things that I believe is beneficial, is because when you want a question or you want one of your questions actually answered, you don't want to wait till, I don't know, the next day or next week, or maybe not even get a response at all. You want that response right then and there. That's when you had your question. So of course you want to answer it immediately as far as just whatever your concern is, just when it comes to that question overall in general. So our goal is to build a community, like-minded people, of course, people in the firearms and everything like that, and just help each other in general. And overall, just make sure that we build that community for what the people actually want. So little bit of a long-winded response, but
I thought it was perfect, man.
that's the that's kind of the direction that VFA is going in. I'm excited. I'm excited about it. And we're growing. We're growing.
I told you that the other day, where we were just a year ago to where we are now, to the restructuring we just did to mostly focus on community and training for individuals. I don't think I could picture this going any other way. As you mentioned, someone asked a question, instructors are in there. Instructors are in there, they're checking every day. If a new question comes up, they get notified. You can ask the instructor directly, right? They're listed in there, and you can ask them or you can ask the whole group. You're going to get an answer, that, unless you're asking a question, at midnight on Sunday night, and your Pacific Standard Time.
Exactly.
Might have to wait till 8 a.m. next morning or something along those
Exactly.
lines. But if it's during business hours, you're definitely getting an answer. And heck, at this point with technology, there's kind of bots we can program to kind of give you, I don't want to say a generic answer, but give you a detailed answer to some point, as well as from there, you can then wait till the morning or something along those lines to get a more specific answer by an actual instructor. And once again, you could get 20 different answers from instructors. If you don't have to settle for one, everyone's got different perspectives, different point of views. You'll find that most instructors, or most of our instructors, agree a lot on their principles. But yeah, man, I don't think I don't think I can see it going any other way right now. And then the feedback we're asking from our current members and new members, and kind of shameless plug here, which it's not going to be around much longer, but that's why one reason why we gave a whole 12 months free access. If you use the coupon code VFA 2024, you'll get 12 months of free access to it, because I'm more I'm I don't care about the money so much as I care about the building the community, right? Because what's that old Field of Dreams? If you build it, they will come type
Oh
deal.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's what I'm going for right now, or that's what I think we're going for. So I think you hit the nail on the head. That's what we're shooting for. A safe place to train, a safe place to communicate, and then not only is it going to be virtual, but eventually we're looking to drop out some in-person events that are then also are live virtually. So if you can't attend in person, but kind of all over the nation, we're looking at getting to some in-person events where you can come out. We can actually do some live fire training and bounce around between some ranges, and maybe bring in some local instructors to give different perspectives. And that's what it comes down to. Is that's where we're at with it. I think from my original, and I won't speak for you, but from my original perspective, that's where it was. We're continuing to build our instructor cadre to the point to where if you want to request private training with them, just like you would at a gym, right? Just if you had a trainer at a gym, you can have a firearms trainer where, hey, I'm going to purchase 3 sessions with you or 6 sessions with you if you want to. But as of right now, all I care about is just building the community, getting people in there, and then getting their feedback to see, hey, what do you think would make this better for you?
Absolutely,
And that's kind of my big thing.
absolutely. So one of the things that I realized, and I always hear people say something like this. What's the saying is better to have something and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Yeah.
So just I understand, guns can possibly get a bad rap, but I want you to look at it like doctors. Some doctors got bad raps. Some dentists got bad raps.
Yeah, doctors most sued profession in the world.
Absolutely, bad lawyers. I mean, there's bad everything kind of deal. Okay, um, guns is more of in my opinion, a political thing. Don't think I really want to go down that path
Oh no,
right now,
let's not beat that one
But
up. We'll be here for another 2 hours. But
it is
I agree with you, and we'll
go
just
down
leave
that
it at
rabbit
that.
hole. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Lord knows
But
what the comment sections are going to say after that one.
you're right about that.
Oh, you already opened up that door. Here we
Yeah,
go.
you're right about that. But Frank, if there was one thing, and I like asking people this question. You just purchased your firearm. What is something, or what do you feel is probably the most important thing, besides training, obviously? What is the most important, or one of the first things that you should do upon your purchase of your firearm and you brought it to your house, and now you are in possession of that firearm? In your opinion, of course.
There's a lot here. I can kind of be facetious and I say join VFA, right? So you can get uh, proper proper training, and it doesn't have to be proper, just so you can get that information. Having uh, some type of network, some type of access to information, and you could always YouTube University almost anything these days if you want to. But you're looking like how reputable is it, things like that. But if you just got a firearm and you just brought it home, uh, let's just I'm going to go back to, because I could sit here and tell you you have to go get some type of secure device, right? Some way to lock this up, some way to make it safe. And people might say, "Oh, it came with a cable lock." Well, cable lock doesn't stop someone from stealing it, right? Someone
Mhm.
breaks in, now you got to report this, to the ATF, right, with a stolen firearm or a mishandled firearm. I've had some experience with people, that have ran into that type of issue. where a firearm was stolen, then used in a crime later on, or it was mishandled,
Yeah.
then used in a crime later on. Then next thing you know, the ATF's knocking on their door. So some type of way to secure it, properly secure it. Now the problem is what does that mean, right? And what does that mean to you? You know, or did you buy a long gun? Is it a rifle or a shotgun, or is it a pistol? You know, there's so many variables. That's why I say join VFA, right? It's free. It's free for the year right now. Absolutely join VFA right now, because it's going to walk you through how to secure that. That's one of the first things in the basic training portion of your online training course is, you know, this is how you can secure a firearm in your house. This is how you can secure a pistol. This is how you can secure a rifle. This is how you can secure a shotgun. This is how you don't secure a firearm, right? That could be dangerous. And I'm not going to say that we've covered every scenario in the world there, but it gives you that basic understanding of how to do it. So if you're just coming home and you just got a firearm and you know nothing, you have no experience with it, and you have no way of securing it, then yeah, I would say you got to figure out some way to secure it. But ultimately, I think that my real answer to this is find. I don't care if it's VFA. I don't care if it's your local gun range. I don't care if it's your siblings, your parents, your uncle, your friend down the street, whatever. Find a reputable person that you think can give you some guidance. And if you can't, and you don't have anyone in person, that's where the Virtual Firearms Association comes into play.
Absolutely agree. I love VFA. I mean, I'm biased, but so what? It's what if you can't afford free?
Yeah, exactly.
Then you got you got other issues that's actually going on.
I know I'm beating up your time here, but one of the things in there is like, oh, what's the Mantis system cost? And I think it's $99 for the mobile unit. And you really don't need anything past the mobile unit. Right. But in there, we also teach you, and I'm gonna get beat up by Mantis on this. I know it, they're gonna come back and hurt me on this, but we show you how to build the Mantis system for significantly cheap. I think $39, which is less than a box of ammo. Right. So it really is it's a pink Rhino laser cartridge, or whatever laser cartridge you want that fits your platform, your caliber, the firearm. And you could do this on rifle, or you can do this on pistol, right? Either way. And we're just talking about the Mantis Laser Academy right now. There's a whole bunch more. There's the Blackbeard, there's the Blackbeard X, there's the X2, the X10, which are all kind of, tracking systems, things like that. But for the Mantis Laser Academy, where you get to do virtual firearms training with feedback, you can buy any cartridge you want and put it in your actual firearm and train with it. So we'll talk pistol here. So you get your pink Rhino laser bullet, you get a wooden dowel, which is really just a pencil. You just find a pencil, right? That can replace your wooden dowel. That's 2 cents or free if you have one floating around, right? You got a stand for your phone so you can download the app. Well, by the way, Mantis allows you to download the app for free, and it has certain free access. So Open Shoot is a perfect thing. I rarely use any other type of shooting when I'm just training and practicing than Open Shoot, because I can do it with pistol draws, right? And I can use it as a par timer, because my first shot is a par timer if I just have it on Open Shoot. So I can hit the control button. It starts a countdown. I can reholster, reset, reholster, and do an offline movement, pistol draw, and shoot. And it gives me a par timer just by using the Open Shoot concept. And that's free. It's absolutely free. And what's the other component? So the wooden dowel, so you have the wooden dowel, you have the pink Rhino laser cartridge, you have the targets that come with it. By the way, Mantis has the targets on their website, free to print out, right? So you don't even have to get the big targets. You can just buy the small portable case and then print out the big targets. It works just as fine as long as you got a modern mobile device. The only thing I can really see you buying here is maybe a phone stand if you don't have one, right? So you can prop it up with. I'm sure you could just find a way to prop it up if you don't. And the laser cartridge. So really, you're doing this for less than a box of ammo, and I probably have over 1,000 rounds throughout my Pink Rhino cartridge just on my 9mm alone.
I believe it.
Right. So think about the money you just saved doing that, right? Just on ammo alone, I think, yeah, and there's plenty of other systems out there. I mean, I'm not gonna name drop them and everything because I prefer the Mantis system, but yeah, I mean, you can build your own Mantis system for $40, right? And then if you can't do that, the only reason I say use the Pink Rhino laser cartridge is because the I checked recently on bore sites, laser bore sites, and they're about $40-50 now. Anyway, so they're about the same price or more expensive. So you might as well get the one that works in conjunction with the app, and then just download the app, download the app for free, print out the targets for free. You have a full virtual training system in your home, and then you can use that and come join VFA. You actually don't even need it. Well, you can still do all your training in VFA without it. It's giving you that feedback.
Gotcha. I was definitely going to bring that up because I've already been asked, do I have to have the Mantis system in order to join the VFA? Because they don't have it. So get asked that question all the time. So I'm glad that you just touched base on that. Believe me, if there's a training way that we can get you squared away, we will get you squared away.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
don't let that be a deterrent on you being able to join the community or not.
let me hit everyone on what's going on. If you're listening to this or watching this, right, and you're trying to figure out what is VFA, there's a community concept where you can go in there, you can chat with people, with your state, across the country, across the world. It doesn't matter, right? So there's that community aspect, direct community aspect. Think of like a Facebook group, except there's no restrictions on it, right? There's no restrictions outside. There's no illegal act. Like, obviously, if there's any illegal activity, we stop that. So don't think that, but there's no restrictions on it like Facebook, right? Absolutely no restrictions. So the next concept is you have an online training course, which we're revamping the whole thing now that we got better audio quality, better video quality, more instructors to go in, teach different perspectives, everything like that. You got to look at my face, unfortunately, in some of the videos. I apologize for that. It is what it is. But so you have that aspect. So there's an actual training course in there, which that is updated with new training. And then you have the weekly challenges, right? Weekly challenges. Hey, go in there, do this with your training. If you train once a week and you just put 5 shots down range, right, with the Mantis or whatever, even dry fire, if you do 5-10 shots, you're training more than 90% of the entire world is training. If you just pull out your firearm, make sure it's safe, get into a safe situation, no live ammo or live ammo if you're at a range, and you train with your firearm, you put a couple shots down range, you're training more than 90% of the world. Because they just people don't have that motivation to get. It's not that they don't have the motivation. It's just hard to get that motivation and then not have a community to do it with or someone to do it with. And then on top of it, now you have the new live weekly training where you have a live instructor doing something. You know, just today we shot the first one where it was marksmanship enhancement, and we focused on, you know, the underlying components of marksmanship, actual marksmanship, not shooting as a whole, but marksmanship, and to make people actually hit accurate, be more accurate, and maybe get rid of those low and left or low and right or pulling shots, you know, that anticipation. And we fix that for a bunch of shooters today. So those are the things you're going to get in VFA, plus all the add-ons that you all keep telling us that you want. We keep adding it in, and to the point to where we're going to make this, and we're making this the biggest training platform for everyday shooters.
Exactly.
Really, I don't know how else to put it, but other than that.
Absolutely right. I agree. VFA is growing, and
You're doing a great job. You're doing an
super,
absolutely great job, man.
We are doing a great job.
Well, no, I appreciate it, but I'm my ego isn't so big that I can take a step back and say, you know, you're running the show here, and it's looking good.
Hey, when you're doing something that you love, it doesn't even feel like work. So,
man, great quote.
So firm believer of that. So I wanted to just leave with just one last thing. If you wanted to just leave a lasting impression just from this podcast that you just or a message to be delivered that you want our listeners and viewers to just take home with them, what would it be?
Every firearms owner, every shooter started from nothing.
Mm,
Every single one of them. Masad Ayub, it doesn't matter who you pick, right? Doesn't matter. They all started from nothing. They all shot a gun for the first time at some point.
absolutely right. Absolutely right. All right. All right. There you have it, guys. Frank, thank you for coming down. I know you are a busy man. All right. Almost as busy as me, I guess.
Almost.
Or
Almost.
busier. I don't know.
No,
Depends on how you
man. No,
look at it.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time to let me come in and do some training. It's nice to get back to the roots sometimes when you're as busy as we can get. But I appreciate it, man. It means a lot.
Absolutely. So, guys, I'm gonna leave links in the description as far as the website, our social media platforms, and also access to you being able to get some of those free targets. And while we still have our basic pistol marksmanship class available, I'll send links to that as well. I definitely want everybody to take advantage of this and actually join our community because without you, there's no us. So I just wanted to leave y'all on that note. All right. Until next time, next week, tune in. We have more, whole lot more in store to get our word out and to build this community one day at a time. Thank you.